Yes, hello my dear people. What I am saying here is a message to you on the whole world, in the World Wide Web, and also to Mr. Piers Morgan. I listened to him on a CNN documentary where they were discussing the right to bear arms. And we were being told the right to bear arms was not a God-given right. And Mr. Piers Morgan ridiculed the idea that bearing arms could be a God-given right. However, let me just explain a few important points here to disagree with what Mr. Piers Morgan was doing as he interviewed those two persons. You see, first of all, much of these presenters, these hosts in CNN and other media houses have a tendency of more talking to you to present their ideas to you. They're not asking you questions to find out what you really believe or what you really teach, or to see the logic or the sense of what you really teach. What they are usually doing is to try to what we call discredit your ideas by ridicule, by talking down at you, and by not giving you a chance to explain yourself properly. You see, if you really want to find out what the person believes, you can't talk to them like that. And to know that media houses are falling to that low when it comes to interviewing a person, especially with certain ideas that they disagreed with. However, let me clearly state something here. The right to bear arms is the right to bear arms, the Second Amendment right of the US Constitution. Is it a God-given right? You have to understand why the right to bear arms is indeed, in fact, a God-given right. And we are not speaking like Looney Tunes or like some kind of crazy person here. We are giving you logical, sensible reasons. You see, the real right is the right to life. And the right to life wasn't given by Congress or by any lawmakers or by any nature. The right to life was given by God. And if the right to life was given by God, so also is the right to protect your life. So the real right is the right to life. And the right to life implies the right to protect your life. And with regards to the right to protect your life, this brings about the right to bear arms. So the right to bear arms is really the right to protect your life, which is your right to life. So behind the right to life is the substrata, is a substrata. And the substrata is your right to protect your life, therefore your right to bear arms. This is what the founding fathers of the United States of America knew. This is why they clearly outlined that the right to bear arms was a right, also a sacred right also. This is why they declared it so. And you need to understand that the founding fathers of America were not just ordinary senators and representatives that had their own crazy ideas. The majority of them were Christians. And they learned lessons from the Bible, and that caused them to structure the American Constitution and the Bill of Rights the way they did. Take, for instance, Isaiah chapter 22. In Isaiah chapter 22, there is this clause that says, Yahweh is our king, Yahweh is our judge, Yahweh is our lawgiver. So here you have God being the king, the judge, and the lawgiver. The American founding fathers found out that if you were to put all of those three powers in one man's hand, that man would be like a god to the people and hence a dictator. So they created the separation of powers. In other words, the king is the executive, the judge is the judiciary, the lawmaker or the lawgiver is the legislature. So they separated those three powers and they call it separation of powers. So where you have the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive, all are separation of powers. This is how they thought, and they did this because they were against tyrannical government. And so the right to bear arms really meant the right to life and the right to protection. Yes, my dear people, the question is, where did the founding fathers of America learn from the Bible about the right to bear arms as a sacred right? Where did they learn it from? You see, you, Mr. Pierce Morgan, and some of these other people like you don't know the Bible and don't understand what happened in history. Therefore, you can't see the sense in these things. And then all of you all are following an agenda that is changing the United States of America to bring it into a state like it never was before. Now, where was this right to bear arms taken from? Why, from the book of Esther. That's right. You remember that the government actually passed a law that at a certain time all the Jews in the Persian Empire should be killed. They were identified as like what we today would call terrorists. They were identified as terrorists in the Persian Empire. And there was a law that stated at a certain date the people had the authority to rise up and kill them all and take their private property. But Esther was married to this Persian emperor. And through talking to him, she got him to actually create a new law. And the law stated that the Jews had the right to bear arms to protect themselves from their enemies. And as a result of that, your Bible tells you that when the Jews took up arms to protect themselves all throughout the Persian Empire, that the people who had planned to kill them backed down, and the Jews were able to protect themselves. It is from this that the founding father learned about the rights to bear arms. They recognized that a problem that the ordinary citizen has is tyrannical government, also criminals. And so the right to bear arms was meant to the right to protect your life from two problems, from the criminal element and from the tyrannical government element. You see, you take the United States of America, more than 350 million people. Not even 500,000 can be protected by the police, because there's not enough police to protect even 500,000. And the police won't be there as the crime is taking place. What do you want the person to do? You want the person to cower and to submit to abuse and to take all that death and raping, the raping of their children and death, and wait until the police comes when they could have had arms to protect themselves? So the right to bear arms was the right for you to protect yourself. Remember, the police usually comes after everything is finished. So you need the right to bear arms. And that's why Americans were given the right to bear arms. But secondly, they were given the right to bear arms to deal with tyrannical government. And this is based upon the experience they had with the British government. King George, through all his various decrees, caused untold suffering upon the American colonies. And as a result of that, it was the average citizen taking up guns and forming a militia that started the War of Independence that made America free from British tyrannism, that they can form their independent nation and be prosperous and live in peace. So the right to bear arms was to deal with tyrannical government. And it seems as if Mr. Pierce Morgan doesn't understand this, that government can always become tyrannical. Read the statements of the founding fathers and you see the problem with government is that when they get too much power, they become tyrannical. And right now the US government is taking too much power over their people. So the government is becoming extremely tyrannical. As a result of that, the people need to bear arms to protect themselves from tyrannical government. All you have to do is to see what is going on in the United States of America on the political scene now. Billions of rounds of bullets are being bought by the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security. Thousands and thousands of tanks are being placed into different places. Drones are being used to spy upon people. The NDAA, which authorizes the government to what we call assassinate people who they deem terrorists in their homeland and outside of their homeland. The Patriot Act, which gives the government the right to declare whom they want to declare terrorists. With all these problems, you can see that the American government is reaching out and taking too much power and changing the political landscape of the United States. Therefore, you have tyrannical government coming about. And remember what the Founding Fathers said? The Founding Fathers said that government must fear the people, not the people fear the government. But when a government takes too much power and becomes tyrannical, the people have to fear that government. But if the people have arms, if they have the right to bear arms to protect themselves against tyrannical government, then the government would be afraid. You remember that President Obama swore to protect the US Constitution, yet the history of his behavior shows he has been over and over tearing down the clauses of the US Constitution, including the Second Amendment right. He has been assaulting them and attacking them in various subtle ways, chipping away at them in small pieces, piecemeal by piecemeal, until the whole thing is changed. What does this show us? This shows us a concerted plot. Yes, my dear people. Yes, Mr. Morgan. It shows us a conspiracy. And you all don't like to use the word conspiracy because your media houses have used the word conspiracy in a derogatory way over and over, until conspiracy theories now to you all are something derogatory and foolish and like Looney Tunes. You see what the media have done? That is what you all have done. Now, this wasn't done by chance. These things happen because somebody has what we call invented some idea of changing the American thinking and creating a paradigm shift in the whole country. What does this show us? It shows us that what Mr. Obama is doing there is not by chance. It is an agenda. It is an agenda being achieved piecemeal by piecemeal. And whenever there is an agenda being achieved, there is conspiracy. Remember this phrase, evil men always practice conspiracy. Evil men always practice conspiracy. And so we have a conspiracy afoot to change the American Constitution and to make America become part of the New World Order. Since President George Bush Sr. and President George Bush Jr., even Mr. Bill Clinton and Mr. Obama, all of them have spoke about making America become part of the New World Order. As a result of that, what we are facing here is the New World Order coming. And with the New World Order comes tyrannical government where you lose your rights and freedoms. Hence, to protect themselves in America and to protect the Constitution, the people need to have the right to bear arms. And this was wisely given by the Founding Fathers because they knew that tyrannical government was always the problem. Now, you, Mr. Piers Morgan, and your CNN, you know sometimes a media house can have what we call an unwritten policy to follow a certain philosophical line. And we know now what is the philosophical line that the media houses are generally following. It's all in harmony with the attempt to change the US Constitution and bring America as a part of the New World Order. So we don't expect you all to do better, but we are putting this film here on the internet that people will understand what is really going on. We need protection. You see, when America falls, Trinidad and Tobago will be in trouble. Many other countries of the world will be in trouble. That's clearly written in Revelation chapter 13 and verse 12. And as a result of this, the right to bear arms is a very necessary right. And if you ask, is it God-given? Yes, it is God-given. In what sense? Just as how God inspired the government, the king, the Persian monarch at that time to give the people the right to bear arms to protect themselves, it is so God inspired the American Founding Fathers to write this right out, the right to bear arms. Why? Because the right to bear arms is in fact the right to protect your life, and it is the right to life. That's the facts about it. This is no joke, this is no ridicule, this is no folly. You, Mr. Pierce, have to come better than that. So we are saying this to you, and may Americans not give up their guns. May they fight against Mr. Obama and others with all the powers that they have with the law to stop this taking away of the right to bear arms. May God bless you all. In Jesus' holy name, amen.